All right, Monday edition of PFT Live, the preseason completely and totally in the books. So let's have a draft of the preseason MVPs. Maybe somebody who never plays at all in the regular season, but played enough in the preseason to merit some sort of recognition in this space. Now, we have a trivia question. Well done, Courtney. See, I kind of implicitly called out Courtney when I praised Pete Demolitis for not always having, but sometimes having trivia questions. So Courtney has now stepped it up with some good trivia questions. And here is one for you, Myles. If you get it right, you get the first pick. Which quarterback had the highest passer rating, not QBR, passer rating for the 2023 postseason or preseason, not postseason. I'm getting ahead of myself. Preseason.
The answer to that one's going to be Patrick Mahomes. But the answer to this one is Kenny Pickett, quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Is that right? I thought it was Aidan O'Connell. Maybe I.
Whoa.
Yeah, Aidan O'Connell. Womp, womp, womp.
Whoa,
what a shame.
All right, here's the thing. I have a quibble with this. Because if it could be Aidan O'Connell if we're talking about qualified passers, if there is such a thing, but it's Kenny Pickett. Because even if you take the first pick, I'm all right. I'm a little flustered now. It should be Kenny Pickett.
Well, now because he had a perfect passer rating, he was 11.
Yes.
Was it? Wait, that was just in one of the games. What was he for the full preseason?
Oh,
what are his preseason stats? What?
He was finished the preseason.
Was he 158.3?
Yeah. In 3 appearances. He didn't play all that much.
Then apparently he didn't meet the qualification standard, because when you go to the official NFL website and look at the preseason stats, Aidan O'Connell is the leader. But go ahead. You can have Kenny Pickett as the first pick. Go ahead.
On NFL game stats and information, he is. So that's, usually the site that I use. So that's why I know this is the answer, and I'm sticking with my answer, and I'm going to claim that I was right, because Kenny Pickett should be the MVP of the preseason. All right. This is a guy that did everything he needed to do to solidify himself as the guy who is ascending going into year 2 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like I said, 13 of 15, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a perfect passer rating of 158.3. So I think that the Steelers should have great vibes going into the regular season. Yeah, the preseason doesn't count for all that much, and they beat the hell out of the Atlanta Falcons backups, as they should. But when you do the things that you're supposed to do, you at least get to check that box. And Kenny Pickett played about as well as he could have in the preseason.
And, people are starting to realize the Steelers need to be taken seriously, because they got the defense. People thought it was going to be defense and running game. You supercharge the passing game, and you commit to throwing it to George Pickens unless he's triple covered. You're going to make things go with that offense. And Allen Robinson, I think, is going to have a great year. When the Steelers were the ones that stepped up and traded for him, I thought, they know what he can still do. And as it turned out, Omar Khan, the GM, told me back in May, they have known him since he was at Penn State, and they've been watching him. And between him and Deontay Johnson and Pat Freiermuth and George Pickens and Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, watch out for the Steelers' offense, which means watch out for the Steelers, because we know the defense is going to be good. I'll go Aidan O'Connell. He was 43 of 62, 482 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Plus, he's got the great, I went to Catholic school my whole life, and I just graduated, so I'm going to grow a mustache. That's his facial hair vibe. So, Aidan O'Connell. And look, we talked about the Raiders earlier. Where are they going? Jimmy Garoppolo is not the long-term answer. We all know that. They need to develop someone. Aidan O'Connell looks like a guy they can develop, and he looks like a guy, frankly, who could come in and maybe get it done if and when. And we know from Jimmy Garoppolo's history, it's more when than if he gets injured at some point this year.
Yeah, they have Brian Hoyer, who is a fellow Cleveland native, as I am. And I think, at a certain point, do you want to watch Brian Hoyer play, or do you want to watch Aidan O'Connell play and see if he can really develop? I do think that there is a non-zero chance that Aidan O'Connell is the Raiders starting quarterback by December, depending on the way this season shakes out for them. So my second pick, though, speaking of Cleveland, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, man, this guy played extremely well in the preseason, so well, in fact, that the Browns felt comfortable enough to trade Joshua Dobbs to the Arizona Cardinals because their quarterback situation is very, very not good right now. And so when you have a guy in DTR, man, I mean, he has so much college experience that I think his transition to the league has been a little bit easier than some quarterbacks might have. The same kind of thing with Aidan O'Connell, where you've got so many starts, right? We said the same stuff about Brock Purdy. I think now when you look at quarterbacks and how they are taken and how they're developed, a lot of that college playing experience really does come into play. So the Browns probably have something here in DTR as a backup quarterback, and hopefully they can have him be that long-term guy. At least that would be the ideal world because they have paid Deshaun Watson as much as they have paid him. So he is my second pick for a preseason MVP, Mike.
And DTR gives them, I think, a great backup that they can develop behind Deshaun Watson. They got Watson under contract for 4 more years. And every penny is fully guaranteed. Unless they trade him, they're stuck with that money. But the good news is they've got Robinson for 4 years, Thompson-Robinson for 4 years, under a very low cost. So if you're looking at total quarterback dollar expenditures, you put it all in one pot, still not that bad because your backup is so low in comparison to your starter. And if it just doesn't work with Watson at some point, if it's working with DTR, he becomes the guy, proving yet again that maybe they shouldn't have sent all those draft picks and given all that money to Deshaun Watson and just continued to work their plan and work their procedure and not get desperate to go out and find a franchise quarterback, especially with all the issues that came with Deshaun Watson. Next one for me, I'll go Malik Willis, Tennessee Titans. And, you know, he's played very well in the preseason. He's a guy who went from a player I believe that Mike Vrabel didn't really want in the first place, part of the John Robinson, Mike Vrabel tug of war that ended in Robinson getting fired during the 2022 season. Willis has put himself in position, and he looks leaner. He looks more mobile. He looks like he's really committed himself to improving. And I think next year it's going to be a Willis-Levis preseason battle to be the starting quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. And they're going to let him duke it out. They got them both under contract for multiple more years, relatively low expense. Ryan Tannehill will be gone. Will Levis, Malik Willis next year, when we would have just assumed it was Will Levis. I think Willis is going to make it a competition for next year. All right, one more round of the preseason MVP draft. So far, Kenny Pickett, who does not play for the Carolina Panthers, but that's okay. Aidan O'Connell, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and Malik Willis. Myles, who do you have?
I'm going to go off the board a little bit and say the competition committee in 2021, because they were the ones who recommended the end of preseason overtime. And that went through, and boy, did it come through this season, because in week 2, we saw 2 preseason ties, and Lord knows we don't need any overtime preseason football. Nobody wants that. Coaches, players, or reporters. So God bless you guys back then in 2021 for foreseeing this.
I think in one of the episodes of Hard Knocks, didn't we have Randall Cobb saying, oh, we don't want to go to overtime? I mean, so not everybody realizes. I think Troy Aikman wasn't aware last Monday night that there wasn't going to be overtime. So we're still getting used to the fact that there is no overtime. Last one for me, Jordan Love. We talked about Aaron Rodgers earlier. Jordan Love, the guy who replaces him, 21 of 33, 193 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, a 109.8 passer rating, higher than Aidan O'Connell as well, but not enough throws to qualify to be the highest-rated passer in the preseason. But hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.